Good evening from sunny Tsukuba Circuit over here in Japan this evening. My name is Josh Crane, and I'm up here in the booth for tonight's Formula College race with Zach Lindler in the booth, and it's round 2 of 13 at a pretty ambient temperature of about 75 degrees here at Tsukuba. It's a short track, and qualifying underway right now, Zach. About 38 cars in the session, and so the short track race as it would be, there's going to be a number of cars on track, and talking a little bit earlier, sounds like it could be anybody's race.
Yeah, you can see the track statistics there on the screen. This is the shortest track that we're going to be at this entire Formula C season, at just over a mile long, 2 kilometers exactly in length. So the 38 drivers that are currently out on track or have set a lap so far in the session are going to find it very hard to fight for space, especially when the lights out happens in the early stages of the lap. But yeah, Josh, we're here in Japan. This is the second time that Formula C has been to the Tsukuba Circuit. I believe our lap record right now goes to Muhammad Ali from Ball State University, who ran a 52.488 last season. The first time we came here, and that is currently who is on pole position. It's a Ball State lockout off the front row provisionally at the moment. Muhammad Ali, of course, out front with a 53.0. CiL Davidson just behind him, his teammate in a 53.1, and then behind them it's Kent State and Jordan Johnson, another one of our title contenders, 53.2, and Florida State International's Luis Diaz making his return to the Formula C grid with a 53.3, and that is going to end our qualifying session. We're going to jump here right into the race session, Josh, to take us through our starting grid for tonight's Japanese Grand Prix.
That is, here we go. Ball State University is going to have that lockout, Zach, in the front row. It is Muhammad Ali, and he's going to have the best spot and run into turn 1, but he's going to be followed by CiL Davidson. Kent State University and Jordan Johnson will find themselves in third. On the outside will be Luis Diaz, Florida International University. Panther Esports, an avid karting driver, just picked up his latest win last week. Jake Cummings from Wingate University and Thomas Toomey, the Virginia Cavalier, will be on the third row. Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College and East Tennessee State's Cody Hundley will be in 7th and 8th. 9th place will be Jack Ritchie from Mississippi College and Universidad del Tarabo and Hell Ledesma with a blistering performance at Laguna Seca last week. He's going to take that 10th position to start this one. Matthew Vanderdoes from Central Florida and Clemson University's Drew Williams are going to be the row behind. That is 11th and 12th. Clint Halterman in North Carolina at Charlotte, and Ball State University and Rhett Crane going to be 13th and 14th. 15th is going to be Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University, and 16th is going to be Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology. Robert Kiesel Jr. with a great Laguna Seca performance at Florida International University, and Clemson University's Nick Stockner will make up the following row in 17th and 18th, and Alex Hallinar from Binghamton University will be there in 19th. 20th position will be Matthew Burton from East Tennessee State University. We are inside of 30 seconds, Zach, as we walk through the rest of your grid. It is a sizable 38-car field tonight here at Tsukuba, and it is not one of the bigger tracks, so these drivers are getting ready. There is, on the front row, are Muhammad Ali, and the lights are ready, Zach.
Here we go. Here we are at Tsukuba Circuit, the best collegiate sim racers lined up on the grid, hearts and mind ready to race, and it's lights out, and away we go here at Tsukuba. The 2 Ball State drivers get off to a very good start, but here comes our third place car. I believe that is Jordan Johnson to round the outside, trying to go around the outside of Ball State's CiL Davidson, and might walk away with that second position. Yes, he does. Outbreaks Davidson going into the second hairpin for the first time, and still some great 2-wide action here just inside the top 10 and on back. 3 wide between, I think I see a PCT and a Clemson car maybe going 3 wide potentially there for just a little bit, but it looks like every driver is going to walk away unscathed. No major incidents here on the first lap as we look back towards the lead. Muhammad Ali has taken the lead down the backstretch for the first time. It's Johnson right behind him, and Kent State, Ball State, his teammate right behind him, and Luis Diaz hangs on to that 4th position. And then it's Jake Cummings, Thomas Toomey, Jack Ritchie, Angel Ledesma here in 8th, Cody Hundley, and Andrew Williams rounding out the top 10 for their respective schools as we complete lap 1 of 20 in this first sprint race tonight.
These are going to be a heated 20 laps if these drivers keep up. Look at this, Clint Halterman in that Niner Esports car, and on the inside of Binghamton University. Those roles are going to switch now, though, as we go back. They're going to switch to the inside and the favorable position to Binghamton here. Both cars, a little bit of lockup on these colder tires, Zach. They get in the corner, but Binghamton University and Alex Hallinar are going to win that one.
Old tires on a relatively warm track. We saw the statistics at the top of the show. About 112 degrees, the track temp. A little warm, but that number is only going to go up as we got sun here as the little checkup from the 19 of Ricky Paz. And I think that's Angel Ledesma, who has gone into the wall there out of turn 9. And what a disaster to strike for one of our championship frontrunners after last week at Laguna Seca. He came out of the gate guns a-blazing to almost win sprint race number 2, but sadly had that win encumbered after a 5-second time penalty for forcing another driver off track was enforced post-race. But Ledesma still with a good run last week, and it looks like that has all come to an end here in the first sprint race. So unfortunate to see that for that promising driver new to the CIL, but we're going to take a look at some more battles that are unfolding. It looks like Cale Davidson may be slipping back through the field a little bit after his second place start. That Ball State machine taking a little longer to come back to life. He's just lost out on position 2. Jake Cummings from Wingate University relegated back down to 5th for this Ball State driver, as you see there on the roll hoop. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, coming off that fast final turn right here at Tsukuba. Actually under fire again. Thomas Toomey going to make a late move, but how is it on the brakes? Toomey's going to get the inside, but yeah, the momentum there had to kind of pause on the apex, and he's going to be right where Halterman and UNC Charlotte actually just found themselves on the outside. Yeah, smart move by the veteran driver Toomey not to press it right there. He'll line it back up, and he's going to make a move at another passing zone. And yeah, Zach Production would love to go and find some of those replays of some of the earlier action if the current on-track action would just settle for a moment. Right now, we said St. Clair College and Athena LeClaire have improved steadily over seasons and even into this one, and right now taking a charge to that 9th position, and that is Jack Ritchie from Mississippi College. And at the same time, they have got to play defense, Zach, because Rhett Crane would love to make his way, put that Ball State machine into the top 10.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to pass on this track. It's short, it's quick, it's fast. There's a lot of heavy braking points. There's a little off track there for Rhett Crane. I was just about to say it's very easy to get off track and into the grass, and that could make you lose a ton of momentum. And as we see there for that Ball State machine getting passed by Matthew Vanderdoes from UCF, it's very easy to lose a position when you get that off track, but you got to stay quick. You got to stay on your feet. As there, Rhett Crane still having some trouble keeping that machine under his feet. He's now coming under fire from the 19 of Ricky Paz. That Valpo car is coming to life for him just a little bit as we are now approaching over a quarter of the way through this race. But one thing that I do want to talk about, let's take a short view back to the past. Last week's contest from the West Coast Grand Prix, we saw the largest field in Formula C history. That record was broken tonight. We saw 37 cars last week. 38 tonight took to the grid. But last week, Muhammad Alif won race 1. He's currently in the lead now for Ball State University over Jordan Johnson. And we talked about this earlier. Angel Ledesma for Turabal University in his first ever CIL start brought it home second. He would have won sprint race number 2, but he was given a 5-second penalty for forcing runner-up Nicholas Daly wide on turn 6 in lap number 4, which relegated him second to the overall standings. And Muhammad Alif finished 3rd in that second sprint race. So our championship contenders have pretty much become known to us early on in the season. Alif, Johnson, maybe now Diaz throwing his hat into the mix as this train of cars from 10th place on back still refuses to separate, as now we see Vanderdoes and UCF trying to go to town on Athena LeClaire. Got the inside through that sweeping right-hander of turn 9. Can he get the pass to stick into turn 1? It is so hard to pass here. Maybe a little contact there, inches between these two drivers, as Vanderdoes does walk away with the position, and now LeClaire forced to play offense and defense at the same time.
Yeah, what a mode right here that the Claire is in. She is trying to march that car back forward and just keep the cars that you see in your screen behind, a little back further in the pack. It continues here as Nick Stockner tries to put the move on Austin DeLong. That is the Clemson team passing Pennsylvania College of Technology. Back up at the front, though, Cale Davidson has his hands full, mirrors full, one would say, as he is getting chased right now. Actually, this group of three right here under a blanket. Thomas Toomey from Virginia, and we're going to talk about him all night long. Down into the corner, deep on the brakes, trying the same move that we saw that before, Zach, but he's got to do it. I don't know if he's got it done here.
That was an optimistic lunge from UVA's Thomas Toomey, as he's now going to be around the outside of this banked on camber turn 4. He still has the overlap on the wheels, gets a little loose on exit, but is going to get right there back alongside with Ball State, complete the pass into turn 7, and he's going to take ETSU's Cody Hundley with him. And this has now developed into a 4-car battle for the 5th position, Josh.
That is correct. Every one of these drivers wants the top 5. Clemson Tiger Drew Williams has joined the battle as well. Here he goes to the inside. He's going to try to make himself into that hole that that ETSU machine, East Tennessee State and Cody Hundley have prepared. And there you go. He's got it right there with a little bit of front wing damage on that Cale Davidson machine. Look at that wing. That did not come from the factory like that. However, these cars are going to be sorted. But back up at the front, the winner of this is Thomas Toomey. And it looks like he's just putting a car length. That's about as much. Oh, and around goes Cody Hundley.
Disaster strikes for Cody Hundley in East Tennessee State, Kennesaw State, as he is going to lose a ton of positions to wait for the field go by, but makes the safe rejoin gladly. He was able to keep that machine rolling and get it fired back up and going, but disaster for that Kennesaw State machine, and maybe some overheated tires. He's going to have to be very careful on this warm track surface to keep that car back underneath him, but didn't look like he had any help. Maybe got on the brakes a little too aggressively, over-rotated the car on entry, and with these F4 cars being so aerodynamic dependent, especially at a high downforce track like this, as soon as you break free, you can count on going for a spin.
Yeah, that's the way it works, and it's so hard. Right there, we saw tuned in a little bit of Tina Leclerc now having a little bit of breathing room in that St. Clair College machine. But that right now is, Zach, the front-running St. Clair College car, and it is not easy to be in the top 10 of this Formula College field tonight.
Yeah, these are the best collegiate, student, and alumni sim racers from all around the world that have come to compete in the Formula C World Championship. So being in the top 10 is certainly a privilege, and it means you deserve every bit of result that you're going to get tonight. But the competition only heats up more as you get to the top, as we're seeing even outside the top 10, these battles are relentless. It's nose cone to rear wing. I was about to say nose to tail, but that's more for our cup cars. But these cars can race so quick and so close to each other. We've seen these battles all up and down the field, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Looking at Ricky Paz and Clint Halterman running here. Now looking just behind them, Clint Halterman leading this pack for UNC Charlotte. Binghamton University's Alex Hallinar just behind him, and FIU's Robert Kiziel Jr. Little wiggle there out of turn 4, but he's going to keep it straight as that lets Hallinar run away from this battle just a little bit. But we're going to check back up for this battle for P12. This is Paz and Halterman, nose to tail, coming out of the penultimate corner down the back straightaway. You can see how close they are to the cars up in front. So it would take a little teamwork between these two to catch up to those cars up ahead to try and get in this battle for the top 10. Now, one thing to note, if you're new here to Formula C, we have a double sprint race format. So you can see at the top left of your screen, we are 12 laps of 20 completed in this first sprint race. But when this sprint race ends, the top 10 will be inverted on the grid for sprint race number 2. So if you're number 1 right now, like Muhammad Alif and Ball State, you're going to get a lot of points for winning sprint race number 1, but that means you're going to start P10 for sprint race number 2. So that battle that we saw on camera was for the 10th position, which is currently being occupied by Athena Leclerc and St. Clair College. If the results hold as they are now, she would be on pole for sprint race number 2.
That's correct, but those results are going to have to hold. It is quite a battle right now as Matthew Vanderdoes does have that position right there, and Athena Leclerc looks out her mirrors and sees this car, Rhett Crane, Ball State University, typically quite fast, and I don't think tonight is an exception. Ball State University there, then that 6 car is going to move forward, and you can assume that he's going to have a lot to say about his place in the 10th position. A little back further field, this battle has not relented. Zach, trouble right there we'll catch up with, but I was going to say that Binghamton has not relented, although that was very helpful there for the leading car. As Robert Kiesel Jr., we're going to have to follow this driver and this team this season, Zach, as a car is on the inside. Oh, and rejoining on the apex right there, we'll have to say, I think that was Howard Community College in some manner. But yeah, right there we saw Robert Kiesel Jr. had an awesome run, a couple of runs there with the 2-sprint format that you mentioned there for the FIU team. Florida International has really come on, and let's not ignore that 3rd place right now, that final step of the podium, that belongs to Panther Esports as well. So this is a team and a school that we're going to have to watch all season, Zach.
Yeah, you mentioned before the show, Josh, watching Luis Diaz improve over the course of his CIL career has been such a privilege for us here in the booth and everybody else in the league. Drivers from all around come to the CIL to work on their racecraft, to learn from drivers ahead of them, and to compete on track. And Luis Diaz has grown a ton since he came here to the CIL. Middle of the pack driver we've seen before for FIU, but now he is up here defending to stay on the final step of the podium against Wingate University's Jake Cummings, who was all over his back bumper. You can see just a couple car lengths back is that beautiful, beige and blue machine of Wingate University. I think I got those colors right, Josh. But this is a battle that we're certainly going to keep our eyes on. It's for the last step on the podium.
It is, but I want to get to another battle. I need about 20 screens here right now, Zach, but this is the battle. This gap has been closing just a little bit. As we get to 5 laps to go, look, the gap is closed. There it is. And this is right now the battle for that final invert spot. So the 10th place finisher, the pole sitter. You'd like the 1 point that comes with the 10th position there, but you really want to be in that 10th position for the good restart when we go back racing. And right now, St. Clair College is going to have a flawless run because, Rhett Crane has arrived, and he's just buying his time. He knows he's got about 4 laps or so to make a move, Zach, and there's no lack of pace in that Ball State car.
Yeah, Ball State's got one heck of a program. They joined the CIL about a year and a half ago, starting off in the college series, and they have only gotten better since then. If Rhett Crane is able to make his way past Athena Leclerc, that would put every single Ball State car in the field tonight inside the top 10. So this is the force to be reckoned with. This is the measuring stick that all other programs in Formula C want to measure themselves up against, as it looks like Drew Williams might have had a problem, as he is dropping like a rock. In fact, has gone completely out of the top 10. Rhett Crane's going to try his darndest to get around that Clemson OWR machine, and it looks like he is going to get the pass to stick on the back straightaway. Maybe a little bit of an off for Drew Williams, but here he comes. He is not going down without a fight. He is going to try and get that 10th position back after possibly a mistake to get on reverse grid pole, but it is not going to go his way that time by as they cross the line this time. 4 to go in sprint race number 1.
Yeah, that's accurate. We talked about the 10th place. Athena Leclerc loves this simple trick because right now she's in 9th, and suddenly the pressure is off, if only momentarily, going into this tight hairpin. It is Clemson right now who wants to put that bright orange car on a little wiggle out of the hairpin. All these drivers on the limit. They want to put that car up in the 10th position there as a hedge for their second heat.
And like you said, of course, you do want to get that 1 championship point in a field of 38 cars. Finishing in the top 10 nets you those points, which are also critical in the championship battles. But the sweetest thing about finishing 10th is that reverse grid pole, and right now that is going to go the way of Ball State University and Rhett Crane. And just as I said it a few moments ago, we now have it in reality. Every single Ball State car, 3 cars for that school inside the top 10, all students. So they are putting on a dominant performance this afternoon at Tsukuba. But just a quick rundown with 3 laps to go here in sprint race number 1. It's Muhammad Alif for the Cardinals out front. by about 2.5 seconds over Jordan Johnson and Kent State. These two had one heck of a title fight in our first ever season of Formula C, this time about a year ago, that came down to the very last corner of the last race of the season. So hopefully we'll see these two title rivals spark it up yet again, and then it is FIU's Luis Diaz, who now comfortably sits in third, as we've had a massive incident. This is for the 10th position, and it looks like that's Athena Leclerc and Rhett Crane that have gotten locked together, and Leclerc gets high-sided in the gravel. Her race is done.
And Rhett Crane will get on under his own power. Will resume that car in the 17th position. If that didn't mix things up, Zach, now Valparaiso University find themselves in that coveted 10th position. That is, and right there I think was one of the top 10 cars going off as well. So Valparaiso find themselves in 10th position, but it's not done right now. We just got done, Zach, talking about FIU and Robert Kiesel Jr., who had such a run at the event at Laguna 1 week ago, and you can bet he is going to look to put that car ahead. He's got about a lap to do it. In fact, these drivers on the white flag lap right now. So these drivers that we're watching are coming to take the white flag, Zach, so they have exactly 1 lap to go when they complete the long sweeping final turn.
Yeah, white flag in the air for Ball State and Muhammad Alif. He did it last week. He dominated the first sprint race at Laguna Seca from the pole, and it looks like he is well en route to doing it again here at Ball State University. The force to be reckoned with here at Tsukuba is he's going to come towards some lap traffic. No pressure from behind in Jordan Johnson, about 1.5 seconds back now. That gap has come down, but it is going to go the way of the Ball State University Cardinals. Muhammad Alif, the defending series champion. He's got 1 win already this season. Make that 2 in the wins column. Ball State wins sprint race number 1 in Japan.
Ball State to the front, but here coming through the final turn, Andrew Williams and Jack Ritchie, and that's Mississippi College on defense right there. Looks like they're going to get it done. Just nowhere for the Clemson Tiger to go. That's a close contested one. And Zach, who takes home our 10th position? Your pole sitter after all of that will be Valparaiso University, that distinctive number 19 car, and he's been around a long time. He's earned it. That's Ricky Paz, Zach. He's gonna have the best starting position when we get back to it.
And as the results continue to come in, you can see the standings on the left side of your screen. As this battle right here for the P20 position, Blake Ellison and Afric University takes 20th over Drexel's Timothy Wilms. And that is going to do it here for sprint race number 1 in Japan. What an exhilarating race full of thrills and spills and all sorts of action on track. This short little 1.5 mile, 2 kilometer track is always putting up some action for us. It's a favorite of the drivers for a reason.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's a really fun track to race, compete, to watch. I know that sometimes my laps around the track, Zach, are not always as joyful as I make them out to be. It was difficult for me sometimes in Gran Turismo 4, and it's difficult for me now at times. There's so many unique little quirks to what appears to be such a short and simple venue, but it is, and it puts on the racing that we just saw.
Deceptively short and deceptively easy, but you're right, there's all sorts of little personality bits, as I like to call them, to this track that make it so much fun. But while we have a moment and we're waiting for sprint race number 2, let's go ahead and talk to our sprint race 1 winner, Muhammad Alif from Ball State University. Congratulations on racking up another W in the column, quickly becoming the championship favorite to defend your title here in Formula C, but you're going to be starting back in 10th for sprint race number 2. Take us through sprint race number 1 and kind of your strategy to tackling the track and all of its challenges.
Yeah, I think it's all about. Anyways, hello everyone. But yeah, it was a good challenge, good fun. The track, I think after the iRacing update, the cars and the tires feel a bit different. So, adapting to that, I think right now is probably everyone's concern. But I think once we got out in front into clear air, I think it was more than a smooth sailing, I would say. But with lap cars and with obviously Jordan, who's really, really fast. He was attacking from the get-go, so I was just trying to keep that distance behind, but also I think just to take care of the tires and yeah, bring it home.
Yeah, I think bringing it home is really the name of the game. We were just talking about how unique this track is, but what makes this track so tricky? It seems very simple, but there's a big difference in pace between some of the drivers, and the racing is always very close.
Yeah, I mean, the trick is really in the trail braking. I think I find most of my time there, and also like balancing with the rear. I think it's more doing this track or perfecting this track is more like a dance. I would say more than anything because of how technical it is, because of how many different technical corners there is. Camber, obviously. So I think tackling that is probably the biggest challenge, and then now race 2 is going to be even more of a challenge right now.
We think
well,
so.
You certainly have a challenge out in front of you here, Alif. Congratulations on your win in sprint race number 1. We're going to let you get back to your warm-up session to prepare for race number 2. Hopefully we'll see you here again.
Thank you.
That was our sprint race 1 winner from Ball State University, Muhammad Alif. And Josh, you heard him say it's kind of like a dance, this track. I'm wondering what he means by that.
Well, it's not unlike some of the flowing fast tracks that we go to, where you have to trust the cars around you to make the proper move. It's not always cut and dry, and I think that's what these drivers excel at, is being able to compete that way. So we'll see what these drivers come up with. They're getting warmed up right now, and while we were talking to our Muhammad Alif and Ball State, we were able to have another look at Rhett Crane and Athena Leclerc, actually in the second to last corner, and just got in very hot. Tried to lock those tires up, and it didn't quite go well, and actually made rear contact first. So don't always see that a lot, Zach, but if you're going to come together, do it like the pros. So that will tell us that all these drivers are, brake bias is back, these drivers are on the limit, and they're really getting the most from these cars. They're getting the rotation, Zach, out of these cars.
Yeah, we heard Alif talk about how important trail braking is at this track, and trail braking means that you are just barely on the brake pedal while you're going into and through the center of the corner to induce some artificial oversteer in the car, where the back end wants to swing out, but you got to keep the steering under control to keep that thing pointed. You want your rear tires to be doing a lot of the work, especially at a track like this where you're on and off the brakes so quickly, to get the car rotated, get the good launch off the corner, and keep the momentum up. Because this track is so short, you don't want to necessarily be the fastest, but you want to be the most consistent. And consistency comes when you can keep your momentum up through the corners. As I believe our warm-up session is going to come to an end here. The drivers are ready for sprint race number 2, and we're going to have our starting grid ready in just a second.
Yeah, we'll cover the top 10. There's a newcomer, Ian McClellan, at Auburn University with 2 cars and new entrants in this season of CiL. But it is time rapidly here for the grid to take place. And here you go. We said that front row is going to be Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University, followed by Andrew Williams from Clemson University. Jack Ritchie will find himself there from Mississippi College in P3, and Matt Vanderdoes from Central Florida in P4. Cale Davidson in Ball State University, they'll be 5th place. 6th place will be Thomas Toomey and Virginia. Wingate University sees Jake Cummings in 7th position to start this one, and Panther Esports Florida International, we'll have Luis Diaz there in P8. Look for that car to move forward. Other cars that are moving forward are Jordan Johnson from Kent State and your previous winner, Ball State's Cardinal, R. Muhammad Alif. Zach, that is most assuredly going to be a couple of drivers that are going to be very patient getting back up to the front. It's going to be very exciting for all of them. So exciting, even more so for us up here in the booth.
And patience is indeed the name of the game, but these drivers are ready to go as the lights are on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're out, and away we go. As our pole sitter, Ricky Paz, gets off well, immediately goes to the inside to defend against Drew Williams. We might be 3 wide here going into turn 1, folks, as around the outside goes Jack Ritchie. Williams is still to the inside right there as it's chaos behind them. 2, 3 wide coming off the corner. Here's the challenge for the lead. It's Williams to the outside of Paz. Clemson and Valpo going at it for the lead in sprint race number 1. A little bit of oversteer through turn 4. for that Valpo car, as he had a moment maybe with that Clemson car, maybe some contact between the two, but Valpo is going to walk away with the lead in Sprint Race 1. But for how long, as these faster drivers from Sprint Race number 1 are going to try and claw their way up through the field as they come through Turn 9 for the first time.
Oh, yeah, never a doubt from Paz. He just needed that car to be a little bit sorted out. He needed that Clemson car off his tail right there. He knew how to do it. But back up at the front, we are up and down the field. That is Rhett Crane and Ball State looking at the inside right there. In fact, Austin DeLong trying to play defense for that, and a little bit of grass right there. A little bit farther forward, Alex Hallinar looking to take this battle down to the inside. Contact! Big contact between, I think that's Kiesel Jr. for Panther Esports right there. That's the 42 car we can see, and that was Niner Esports getting by right there. There is trouble right there. That's Keith, and that is Drew Williams. That is Drew Williams, who is slow right there. Maybe we'll have a chance to catch up with that, but the battle continues to be on right here. Jake Cummings actually under fire. We talked about how fast will these drivers move up hard on the brakes, and fair play right there from Wingate University, I think, Zach. The playing defense was always going to be a tough proposition, so looks like Ball State going to have a move here. The move's not done, but a good advantage for Muhammad Alif and Ball State working into the corner right now.
And that is the car you don't want to see in your rearview mirror, is that number 12 for Ball State, as a little off right there for that number 4 machine of Luis Diaz and FIU. He has worked his way up to that 3rd position right in front of him. Matthew Vanderdoes, or excuse me, that's Jordan Johnson, sorry, is right in front of him. Matthew Vanderdoes and Ricky Paz going to go at it for the lead. Vanderdoes takes the inside, as maybe Paz might have missed the corner, and he is going to concede the lead for the first time here on lap number 2 of 20, as Matthew Vanderdoes from UCF takes the point for the first time in his Formula C career. Now Jordan Johnson trying to stay as far ahead of Muhammad Alif as he can, but not so fast, says the Ball State driver, as he is right behind him trying to overtake the Valpo car. Excuse me, that's Cale Davidson with Alif just behind him. We're going to see if these two Ball State Cardinals can work together to try and get their way up to the front, as Davidson is able to complete that pass going into the final corner as we start lap 4 of this event.
Yeah, massive pace from all those drivers up front right now, the top 4. So Central Florida and Kent State, Ball State University, Valparaiso sitting 4th right now, and looking to the inside, and again, giving room right there. So Ricky Paz kindly giving room to a lot of these drivers, and fair play from everybody. Of course, around the outside, that's going to be pretty hard for the 12 car. A little bit of a wiggle there from the 19, and Wingate University going to make the most of this opportunity, and does Virginia now also go through with Thomas Toomey. He's going to be on the outside, but he's going to have to keep that momentum. You saw him get a run off the corner. That's what you got to do. He's got to defend right there from the 0-7, but suddenly it's all to play for here. I'm back up at the front. This is for the lead. Kent State looking to, there's Kent, University of Kent down to the inside.
Jordan Johnson takes the lead of this Grand Prix for the first time, but does Vanderdoes have anything to say about that, as he's going to get back to the inside in turn 1. The two almost touch wheels coming through turn 1, and they're going to be side by side through the S's on lap 5. Johnson's going to have the inside. He will outbrake the 16 car and take the lead for the second time in this event. But they've now got Cale Davidson, and just behind him, Muhammad Alif, the two Ball State cars coming up through the ranks. It's Davidson ahead of Alif, but right now for Davidson, he is standing on the final step of the podium. Can Vanderdoes put on a defensive masterclass against these two very powerful Ball State cars? I'm sure Jordan Johnson will want that, so he can try and extend his lead as much as he can in the early stages of this second sprint race.
Yeah, and here it is. Looks like a pretty good run for that 3rd place driver out of the corner. I don't know if the move is on down into turn 1. That driver did not think so. So a little bit of discipline shown from Ball State and Cale Davidson. And he's going to want to get down the road here because he's got that other car, his teammate, behind him. And both of those drivers know that they've got an opportunity to fight for the lead. And right now, this man, the Kent driver, Jordan Johnson, is going to be getting away. That Pierre Sims livery is scooting down the road right now. And yeah, you can see getting a little bit antsy is Cale Davidson. He wants the opportunity. He's going to try, come in, diamond corner. Looks like the apex was okay, Zach. How's the run down into the final turn?
Looks like about the same as the car in front. Matthew Vanderdoes, these two locked in on speed. Actually, Davidson gets a better braking into the final corner on this lap. Now they're going to see, oh, he goes way wide on exit. He's going to lose a ton of momentum, and that may open the door for his teammate to get by, and we may see some team orders between the two. Alif saying, get out of my way, I've got some work to do, to Davidson, and I think that's exactly what happened, as Alif now will step onto the podium for the first time in this sprint race, and we're going to see if he can make his way around Vanderdoes to try and challenge Johnson for the lead of this sprint race. Johnson did not have some good luck last week at Laguna Seca. Both sprint races getting caught in incidents, double DNF there for Kent University. So Johnson is desperately needing a win and some good finishes here. We're going to take a look at the off from CiL Davidson. You can see he just got into that grass a little bit. Alif got a great run out of the final corner, and he sticks the nose to the inside. And he will walk away with that position very, very easily. Clears the nose of the two, and now it is smooth sailing and a very close move from CiL Davidson getting to the back bumper of his teammate. But they kept it clean. As now look at the lead that Jordan Johnson has. But we're going to take a look towards the back of the pack. Two gaggles of cars. This is Ledesma and I believe Thomas Toomey. No, that is Ledesma right there going at it. With Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte just ahead of them, Alex Hallinar in Binghamton University. It feels like those two have been fighting pretty much the entire event. Now we're going to look at Jason Wallet, somebody who's had a quiet day today, try to go around the outside of Rhett Crane in that third Ball State car. Can't get the move to stick, but gets a great run out of the final corner. Here's Ball State trying to take the draft away while it goes to the outside. Still can't get the move to stick, and this is a masterclass in defending from Rhett Crane. This battle has now held up a couple cars behind them, which is going to make this a 4-car battle for this position.
It has. This battle continues. This is Turabo against North Carolina at Charlotte, and Zach, you called it. Angel Ledesma is going to try and do his best. Corvette winning impression right there. Makes the pass. Does get a little bit of breathing room. Can he march forward there for Universidad of Turabo and get the job down into the final corner? Actually, a lot of pace right here. Looking deep on the brakes. I saw it coming. I don't know if it was going to stick.
Wow.
There it is. He's on the brakes, and there you have it. We should not be surprised. He did finish in the top of everything there at Laguna Seca, but a little bit of draft here. It's not done yet. That is Binghamton University in the other green car, the 057 of Alex Hallinar, who is going to have his work cut out right now. And looks like up at the front here, that is FIU and Robert Kiesel Jr. trying to keep that car pointed the right direction. The top 5 drivers all separated nose to tail, but we keep the camera right here for now. It is the tightest battle. In fact, Angel looking again, and suddenly a little bit of pace. Lock up from Vanderdoes. That's Central Florida in that livery right there, and side by side, I think that was Leclerc on the inside there in that St. Clair car. And there you go. So down in the corner. Can he do the move again? We know he's on the brakes heavily right here. He's going to look again. Ledesma and Turabo down to the inside. Can UCF cross it over? No, UCF are going to block that exit, and that doesn't allow Ledesma to run away. And here we go into the final turn, and where will the pass be attempted, Zach?
I think this is all a setup for a potential late breaking point into turn 1. Ledesma out in front of Vanderdoes right now. You can see Vanderdoes did not get a good exit out of the final corner, as we are now officially halfway through this second sprint race. And now Ledesma with another great exit from turn 1. He is going to run away with that spot. Looking at the order right now, the final points are going to go to UNC Charlotte and Clint Halterman, but Rhett Crane and now Marist College, Ben Fiore right behind them in the points. But right now, Jordan Johnson has about a 1 3/4 second over Muhammad Alif. But I'm watching that tick down by the thousandths every second. So slowly but surely, Muhammad Alif is clawing his way up to Johnson to try and take away the lead and sweep the sprint races here in Japan.
Yeah, that gap updating a little bit slower probably than Ball State would prefer. That Ball State driver is going to have to really pull out a performance. We've seen him do it before, Zach. No doubt there. We'll see if he can do it today at Tsukuba with, you called it 8 laps to go. but I did just see that it is on behind Wingate University playing defense against Virginia's Thomas Toomey, and the Cavaliers always strong in these FC races. It's already a top 5. Can he sneak into 4th place, Thomas Toomey?
Yeah, Thomas Toomey is a very good driver there for UVA when he can keep it on track. Especially in the Cup side, he's had some problems with incidents lately, none of his own fault. But if he can keep it on track, that is a very, very fast number 166 car, as he's going to throw everything he can at the 007 Jake Cummings from Wingate to try and get around him, because right in front of them, the number 2 of CiL Davidson has worked his way to the final step of the podium. Some smoke from up front, and I'm wondering what happened. Maybe some trouble with lap cars. Yeah, it is a lap car that had a little bit of a lockup into turn 1. But that is the battle for the final spot on the podium. That's going to heat up very quickly as Davidson now falls into the clutches of Wingate and Virginia.
Yeah, that's true, with the lap traffic not helping right here. A sizable lead. Ooh, a little bit off the apex right there for Ball State as they come across the corner. That gap, actually about 3 seconds, or excuse me, 1.5 seconds still up at the front, so that continues. But this one is very close with Thomas Toomey. Another one that's very close right now is this group right here, all in your screen. FIU, Central Florida, those drivers will want the best of each other. And following on board right now, that is, I believe, actually that is Turabo in the 162, not to be confused, Zach, with the other darker colored car, the 166, that kind of looks like that.
Yeah, 2 beautiful, I guess, dark mode liveries on those vehicles, but this is the battle for P6 all the way through, I guess you can call it P9. You can see Alex Hallinar in that green Binghamton car taking up the rear of that pack, but back behind them, I see that battle for the final spot in the points really heating up right now. Rhett Crane and Clint Halterman and Ben Fiore within a second of him. I did see Halterman had a big off coming out of the final corner the last time around, but it looks like he has caught back up to the rear wing of that number 6 Ball State machine. But this battle is going to heat up as their drivers are going to get the 5 to go signal from Barney this time by.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on, and right there behind you can see Clint Halterman is trying to get it sorted. A move to the inside. Did he keep the momentum there? That is Clint Halterman trying to defend from Ben Fiore in that 25, a newcomer from Marist College. And Marist College is putting on a strong performance right here. Tougher in Heat 1, Zach, as I saw on my other monitor for Marist. But Marist and Ben doing a great job right here of putting the pressure on the top 10. I do see a little bit of wing damage from the 07, and that's really not going to help as we work our way through some of the higher speed corners right here. You really want to get that car to turn. Somebody's off in the grass. I think I saw a St. Clair livery. Driver to be determined, but there's the 07, and can Ben Fiore get off the corner and turn that P12 right there, looking like actually working on the internet situation there in that car, but he's got the move right now down to the inside, and there it is. He's going to get underneath the 07, push him offline just a little bit, nearly contact, maybe contact trying to cross over. North Carolina at Charlotte, and Clint Halterman thought about crossing over right there, but that was a power move done by that Marist College driver, Ben Fiore. And Zach, we continue to talk about the people who are arriving here in the Collegiate iRacing League and making their presence known. This time it's Marist College and Mr. Fiore getting the job done.
Yeah, Fiore looked at Halterman and said, "I'm tired of running behind you. Get out of my way." And I guess you could call it a bump and run equivalent here in these Formula 4 cars. I didn't know it was possible, but clearly it now is. As now we're going to look a little further up in the pack, some weaving back and forth for Robert Kisiel Jr. and FIU, as now Vander does from UCF is going to get underneath him. That's the exact same move we saw just a few moments ago, but the 42 car is going to get the better run out of the final corner as these drivers got the 4 to go signal that time by, and Vander does will walk away with that position for the time being after outbraking Kisiel into turn 1. But Kisiel comes back. He looked to the outside, maybe a little bit of a crossover, but got little loose there on the bank turn 4 as he lost a ton of momentum and is going to have to try and set up another attack. And I'm looking back up towards the front, and it looks like that lead has grown just a little bit for Jordan Johnson, 1.9 seconds now, and growing ever so slowly. But this battle for the podium is still on. CiL Davidson defending for his life to stay on the podium. This would be 2 Ball State cars on the podium, as now Wingate going to go way to the inside, showed a hand, but quickly folded, and is going to try and think of a better opportunity to try and take that position away, because he's got to keep his eyes in the mirror, as well as Thomas Toomey and UVA behind him, trying to take away that position to have a shot at going for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, I nearly made the same comment. That is the Virginia car right there, dark mode as it may be. And yeah, Wingate, sorry, into turn 1. I actually thought they would kind of be on the move there, Zach, but really early braking after that move to the inside. Maybe just decided that was not the move they wanted, but yeah, didn't quite commit, and has actually lost out on a bit of time up to the 3rd position car and Ball State University. As we get down, coming to the white flag, so the leader, Jordan Johnson, is coming to the white flag, but the battles continue all over. Even down on your screen, you can see the battle for 20th is raging on, and here goes Thomas Toomey. This is the battle for the top 5. All these drivers in the top 5 will say, but all these drivers know that final step of the podium is about 20 feet down the road, Zach.
Yeah, mere inches separating these drivers on occasion. They are going to try to do all they can to get on that podium. Big points haul for both school and driver, and all the championships these drivers compete for. If you look on the left side of your screen, you'll notice the blue and yellow tick marks next to the school names. Those designate our students and our alumni. When you race in the CiL, if you're a student, you race as a student. If you're an alumni, well, I think you can figure out where this goes. But you are competing within your class for points as well as overall. So 3 championships on the line for these drivers. The overall championship, the individual championship in your class, as well as the school championship. 3 extremely important trophies, as it looks like Jordan Johnson has checked out of this race. He has pulled out to a 2-second lead over Muhammad Alif. I think it's safe to say that the title rivalry has resumed exactly where it left off a year ago, as Jordan Johnson on his way to win this race. Muhammad Alif just behind them, but now Wingate with the lunge for the podium. He's got the inside. Jake Cummings to the inside of CiL Davidson. It's a drag race down the backstretch for the final step on the podium. Who's going to be later on the brakes going into the final corner? It's Wingate to the inside of Ball State. Jake Cummings gets the move to stick, but Ball State's going to keep the momentum. Who's it going to be at the line? It's a drag race. I think it's Ball State and CiL Davidson taking the 3rd spot, defending against Jake Cummings and Thomas Toomey up to the very last inch of track before the line. What a finish there.
Yeah, all these drivers getting wrapped up right now. You called it, and it still remains on here. We're going to follow along with Trine University trying to get by Drexel University. That's Tim Wilms, that viewers will remember fondly from summer and the previous spring season. But here we go. It's still on down into the final corner, Zach, as these drivers try and get sorted out. And Trine University, I think, going to let this one go. Not sure how to make up that gap. And, well, pretty close there coming to the line. But, yeah, what a move right there. And let's not forget our winner, the University of Kent driver. That is Jordan Johnson right there, followed by Muhammad Alif. And he is going to make the best use of those Pirelli tires there on the front stretch. I think that's probably the best way to do it there, Zach. But, wow, what a move. And what a move for 3rd position there. In the end, as you can see on your tower, by 93 thousandths of a second, Ball State University claims that last 2nd and 3rd podium spot.
It's a student lockout on the podium. 2 Ball State cars, but all the spoils go to Jordan Johnson and Kent University. However, one thing to notice, Jake Cummings will walk away with a win as well. He is the highest finishing alumni in this race, so we'll be sure to hear from all of our podium finishers as well as Jake Cummings. We're going to try to get them here into the interview waiting room as soon as we can, but Johnson's still enjoying those victory donuts. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to go ahead and interview Jake Cummings. We're going to bring our alumni winner from sprint race number 2 here at Tsukuba. Jake Cummings from Wingate University, congratulations on a big points haul for both you and Wingate in your class championships. I want to get your perspective on this incredible battle for the final spot on the overall podium. I think we saw 9 thousandths of a second was the gap between you and Davidson.
Yeah, it was really interesting, that battle, because, I wanted to be on the podium outright. I didn't want to be in here just on a caveat as I was the highest finishing alumni, but at the same time, I had Thomas Toomey right behind me from about lap 3 onwards. So it was like it'd be really nice if I had someone in between me and him. But we played nice enough, and yeah, he was Thomas is really good at trying to scare you. So I had done pretty well to not overdrive or overdo anything or make any mistakes up until that last lap. But then when he was looking like he was going to go for that lunge in the second to last corner, I went a little deep and got onto the inside of Kale, who was good enough to notice that and give me a bit of line. And I figured I'd actually get the position pretty easily, but he held it around and uh, made it pretty tight for me. But I mean, I beat Thomas by like half a car length to the alumni win, so I'm happy with that at the very least, especially after my horrible debut at Laguna Seca last week. Yeah, honestly, just a good race all around. It was fun to do that. I'm not sure I would have had anything for Muhammad if I had gotten past Kale, but good racing all around, and definitely making me enjoy this car a lot more than I did last week.
Well, I think that's good to hear, Jake. Congrats on the performance. And yeah, how was it to move through the field tonight? Because I think you spent a lot of time in between two cars. So how do you balance the defense and the offense in this Formula C event?
Uh, Difficultly. It definitely wasn't easy, especially with Thomas being Thomas. It wasn't like someone I knew wouldn't have the balls to go for a move. Thomas definitely has the balls to go for it, even when there isn't any real chance, and just hope that you mess up or something. But yeah, it was kind of interesting because I didn't really make many passes myself. It was kind of just everyone blowing up in front of me. And there was that one interesting moment where Muhammad, after he had gotten by Ricky Paz early on in the race, he decided to block him last second before the braking zone into the second to last corner instead of me. And I was really confused at first, but I guess thinking back on it, it was really smart because he was defending from the next student in line and didn't care so much about the alumni, but helped me out either way, staying ahead of Thomas. So yeah, I mean, Kale, I kind of figured he was doing some defending for Muhammad, all both of them being from Ball State. It was kind of just driving your own race, making sure you weren't overdoing anything, like I said, and almost trying to pretend like they aren't there, but sort of arcing in to the corners on early apex just to kind of not persuade Thomas to send it, because, like I said, I know he will. But yeah, we played nice. All of us played nice enough, and it was good. And yeah, that's all about all I have to say.
Yeah, good clean racing up there at the front. Put on a heck of a show for us here in the booth as well as the viewers at home. You mentioned your disappointing results last week at Laguna Seca, P22 in Sprint Race 1, just outside the points overall in Sprint Race number 2, but now you're going to walk away with a podium as well as a ton of points here at Tsukuba. Do you think this is a well-needed boost of momentum going into the rest of the season?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was really last minute decision sort of to actually go through with this because I'm kind of trying to save money for a master's, but yeah, after talking about Laguna
Ooh.
Seca, yeah, after talking about Laguna Seca, it was kind of like I didn't like how the car was driving. It was a little unpredictable, but everyone was saying it was way different and a lot worse than how it usually drives. So when I came here to Tsukuba, it was a whole lot better. And I remember coming here in the summer in the GR86s, so it's a fun track. I prefer it a lot more in this car for sure, and definitely the boost I need to be like, okay, I do have the pace in this series because when it comes to road, I tend to be towards the top eventually. Just depends on how long I get there and what the championship looks like. Not as many alumni as in Cup, but a very stacked alumni field with Angel and Thomas and Nicholas Daly. So I'll be doing my best to get that certificate come season's end for sure. But this is definitely going to be looked at as probably just about a perfect weekend, taking max points in the alumni championship.
Well, Jake, while we've got you here on the show, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I was trying to think of that again. My favorite question, isn't it? Yeah, I guess I'd like to thank my team painter Brett Gardner. He didn't do this one for the Formula series just because I hate giving him too many things to do, but he did do our magnificent cup paint schemes for me and Brennan Schulenberger, and I remember how awesome the reception was for that. So he gave me some spare time to feel like I could actually make this paint scheme real quick, just to say I had one. And he's been a big help to me in giving me less stress and more free time to actually focus on the racing. So thank you, Brett, through Absurd Designs.
Well, congratulations on your alumni class win here, Jake, as well as your overall fourth place finish in sprint race number 2. And we hope to see you in the booth soon.
Yeah, me too. Bye, guys.
That was Jake Cummings, our overall alumni winner, fourth place overall. And he sounds like he's very happy with his result as it stands today compared to last week.
Yeah, much better. He's on the right trend right now, Zach. So that's very exciting for that team and for Wingate. And yeah, he's going to carry that momentum into next Monday night. You heard him say he's just at home on an oval as he is on a road course.
Let's go ahead and talk to our third place finisher from tonight, Cale Davidson. Congratulations on oh, he's gone. Let's try that one more time. Cale Davidson, you got a copy, man?
I do.
All right, there you are. You kind of jumped out on us, so we're making sure you're here. But congratulations on yet another podium finish for Ball State. We saw you got two drivers on the car there in sprint race number 2. We just got off the mic with Jake Cummings talking about that impressive battle coming to the line. You won that out by about 9,000ths of a second. So take us through your mind in defending against both Cummings and Toomey for probably the entire second half of that race.
Yeah, I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie. It was about, I'd say around like lap 15 or so, going into turn 3 is like where I made my first mistake, and then it just kind of all started going down from there because I had about a second to a second and a half, and then they were just like 2/10 to 4/10 behind me. And I don't like to think I'm normally a defensive or aggressive driver, but at that point, I definitely kind of went on full lock and was not going to give up that position. I may have already sent a message to both Thomas and Jake basically apologizing about that because I definitely was playing very defensive. But I mean, I was terrified, but it was fun. They pushed me a lot, so I really do enjoy them pushing me because I don't think I would have really stayed in it if I wasn't on that podium position.
No need to apologize to your competitors. You guys all signed up for a race. But, Cale, I got to ask about your Ball State teammate, R. Muhammad Alif, and he kind of snuck through there in the early stages. But I think you were holding your own pretty level on pace, and that's what Zach and I were telling the viewers. You guys look pretty level on pace. How did that pan out? And it looked like he was stuck back there, but were you at all thinking about who should go first and who could go catch Johnson up at the front?
So yeah, about that, I knew Alif started behind me because the first heat race I had like the smallest contact with Jordan Johnson. So then I had front wing damage from that and dropped back. But since invert came in, I knew Alif was starting behind me. We had a game plan to kind of just push forward and get to the front. And I noticed about like around 5 or 6 laps in, I was kind of just stuck. I couldn't really necessarily get a run on the guy in front of me when I was in third place at that point. So then when I saw Alif coming up, I just gave him plenty of room on the inside, let him in, tucked in right behind him, and then we both got past that car. So I essentially used him to just help make a pass.
Yeah, Cale, we saw the message. We saw you chatting in the cooldown room with Jake and Thomas. The message to them apologizing. You mentioned that they pushed you a lot. What do you think you learned from that experience, driving as defensive as you were?
So normally I like to be the one in the position where I'm pushing from behind and trying to make the car in front have mistakes. except for today, I was the car in front making those mistakes. So it definitely just basically pushed me to stay consistent and just keep trying to hit all my marks I can.
Well, Cale, congratulations on another podium finish here in the CIL. Your championship run is coming alive and well. While we got you in the booth, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or thank before we let you go celebrate with your teammates?
Yeah, I want to shout out all my teammates. So Lucas, Rhett, and then Alif next to me, and you'll hear about Alif right after this. And then I want to thank Ball State basically and Ball State Esports and our esports director Dan Marino for making this all possible.
Well, thanks for coming and chatting with us for a little bit, Cale. Congratulations again on your podium finish, and we will hopefully see you back here in the booth next week.
Thank you.
We heard him shout out Dan Marino, the director of that Ball State program, and it's not the first time that we've talked about him building that program into a powerhouse, but those Cardinals have definitely come to play this season, Josh.
Yeah, they have, and I think as they go ahead with their knowledge, it becomes so lucrative to have that and to have the ability to exponentially increase that notebook.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up our interviews with the big man. Excuse me. We're going to move up to Jordan Johnson. Ar Muhammad Alif finished second runner-up here and our sprint race number 2. We talked to you. It's at the end of sprint race number 1 as the winner. You walked away with 2 podiums once again. Your championship defense is going off to an almost impeccable start. So kind of take us through sprint race 1 versus sprint race 2. What changed? What was similar? What did you learn? Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I was just, I think, trying to be a bit more aggressive. I tried to be a bit more aggressive on the first few laps, just to overtake everyone and then to try to push to keep up with Jordan. The dirty air was quite different, I would say, compared to all the other updates, and I felt that. And after that, I was just trying to see if there was any opportunities when Jordan was passing any lap cars, and eventually I think the gap was very stable at like 2 or 1.9 seconds, so just bringing it home from there.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the dirty air because in the first heat, you jumped out to some clean air and had a win there. And now that the dirty air changed that a little bit in the second heat. And so, yeah, with the update, the recent iRacing update, how has the dirty air changed and how has the clean air changed in the Formula 4 car?
Yeah, surprisingly, you can kind of feel it about 2 seconds back. Like going into the fast last corner, I always seem to lose a tenth net from entry to exit. I think Jordan Johnson was saying the same thing, which is quite odd, considering I think how little dirty air F4 cars should produce. Like if you see real life, they're able to follow very closely. It feels like maybe the dirty air got a bit too overpowered. iRacing, if you are listening. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. You kind of have to drive around it and just bring it home.
It sounds like it. So iRacing has done the grass and done the dirty air a bit too much.
Yes.
It sounds like. So
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Alif, it honestly feels like we're back to last fall's season, our pilot season of Formula C, with you and Jordan Johnson going at it for the title. Both of you have started off your campaigns quite well. Are you as excited to renew that rivalry between you two as I think we are at home?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think Jordan always pushes me out on track, which is really cool as a competitor. And obviously, it's a how do you say? It's a good challenge, for me, and I think it's a good challenge for Jordan as well to push each other. So I think Formula C races should be very fun on the weeks moving forward.
Well, congratulations on another podium, Alif. We're going to let you guys celebrate with your teammates, but before we do, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out here on the show?
Yeah, my teammates, Kale, Lucas, Red, for all the practice that they've done. My esports team, Ball State Esports, and our esports director, Dan Marino, who has been very supportive, and our dean, Dean Turner, for all the support that she's given us for the esports program.
Well, congratulations again, Alif, and I'm sure we will see you back here in the booth next week.
Thank you very much. See you.
That was our runner-up finisher tonight, Muhammad Alif, but we're going to go ahead and talk to the man of the hour, Jordan Johnson, Kent State University, back on top of Formula C here in sprint race number 2 in Japan. Congratulations on your win. What a heck of a drive. You got the lead very early, and you drove away from the field. What was your key to success tonight here at Tsukuba?
Run.
Run.
Truthfully, I just came in just wanting to survive this race. We had more drivers this week than we did last week, and I think this is pretty much the shortest track that you guys could have thrown us on without the sim blocking it out. So quite simply, it was just the memo was survive. Race 2, I knew because I started in front of a leaf on the grid that I was always going to have the advantage trying to lead through traffic. And historically, I've been pretty strong through traffic, so I just trusted what I saw and just kind of went for it. And it worked out. It was very, very sketchy on that first lap and carrying through the rest of the field, especially with the accident that happened right in front of us with P2 and 3. But yeah, just end of the day, it was really just survive. Some good hard racing, though, leading up to that kind of second race win.
Yeah, and it was a tale of 2 heats. Congrats on the win here in the second heat. It was I guess what was your take on the difference in the 2 races and starting once the race kind of got underway after about lap 5 or so, finding yourself in first position versus finding yourself in second position? How does that affect your race?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's really, for me, it's just minimizing the amount of time lost, minimizing mistakes. No matter what, it doesn't matter whether you're first or second. You need to minimize the amount of time you lose because you're never going to gain it back. And if you make a mistake in P2, then you literally just have to wait till P1 effectively loses that time when you're on the pace with the Leaf and myself and similar guys that are coming in that are driving at 100% of the time. You can't make that time back up, so it's just lose as little time as possible, run the cleanest race possible, and figure out what you need to do. In race 1, unfortunately for me, we found out the hard way that dirty air kind of sucked here. And the draft didn't really bring you back in enough to make up for it. So that race was kind of a lost cause from the start. As soon as you pushed within about 2 seconds, the car just couldn't make it through the medium and high speed stuff, at least not without losing time. I noticed I was gaining in some of the really slow speed stuff, especially on traction, but it just wasn't there. In race 1, it never was going to come around. But race 2, once I knew I was ahead, I was pretty confident that as long as I didn't put all 4 wheels off track and lose my momentum or put it in the wall, that I was in a pretty safe spot, especially trusting with how the car was handling it up front.
Well, Jordan, it looks like the title fight is back on between you and Alif. I think we're going to start to see our Prost versus Senna rivalry start shaping out. Are you as excited? I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Alif. Are you as excited to reignite that old rivalry from y'all a couple of seasons ago as we are here at home and in the booth?
I think it's always fun to race a Leaf. He's a great driver, and we've had a lot of respectful hard racing. We've pushed each other to the limit, so I'm always looking forward to it. I have a little bit less to lose right now, though, because I've had that retirement up in Laguna Seca, 0 points in both the races there, so it's going to be a bit more aggressive from me this time around to make sure I kind of get up to where I need to be, get those points back, and maybe we'll see something a little bit more spicy coming in throughout the season. Not quite sure, but I definitely look forward to it. I can trust the Leaf as a driver, and I think he can trust me, so it's going to be a long, hard season.
Well, congratulations on coming back to form after a pretty disastrous weekend. And like you said, last week at Laguna Seca, back on top of the podium. While you're at the top and here on the show, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Of course. As usual, my team, Pure Sims Esports, and all the help that they give me and the guidance that they've given us through years. All of our partners and sponsors, SimTog, Corbo, SRM, OBP Esports, Knight Rider Designs, PG Racing, SimLab, SimuCube, GSR, Cube Control, Simtrex, Asher, and Freem. Just making everything possible for us to go in, week out, and just do what we love to do.
Sounds like you got everybody in there. We're going to let you go celebrate, Jordan, with your teammates. Thanks for coming up here in the booth with us, and I know for a fact we will see you back again here soon.
Yeah, look forward to it. See you soon.
Well, Josh, you heard it in his words, trust and respect between these two drivers, and I think we are on for another classic CIL title fight.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's a long season. You hear Jordan maybe sandbagging just a little bit, saying, "Oh, I don't know about the season," but rest assured, those two will be on track and sharing very tight quarters for the duration. But right now, Zach, we will see if we can go ahead and grab the final race results from the second heat and from the evening here. It was the University of Kent driver Jordan Johnson there at the end of this one with a pretty sizable lead, and dirty air seemed to be the one of the deciding factors all night tonight. Muhammad, Alif, and Ball State University find themselves in second position. Third position goes to the Ball State Cardinals, again, this time in the form of Cale Davidson. Wingate University finds themselves in fourth place there with Jake Cummings, and Virginia finds themselves in fifth with Thomas Toomey. Angel Ledesma follows up a good performance at Laguna with a sixth place finish for the Universidad del Turabo. Central Florida and Matthew Vanderdoes and Florida International University and Robert Kiesel Jr. there in eighth, followed by Alex Hallinar from Binghamton University, followed by 10th place finisher, Ball State University again, and Rhett Crane. We talked about Ball State University putting all those cars in the top 10. Marist College has arrived on the scene here, 11th position, finishing that upper third of the field. Always feels good for Ben Fiore and Marist College. Drexel University and Jason Wallet going to be in 12th position. 13th goes to Clint Halterman and North Carolina at Charlotte. Clemson University's Andrew Burrell find themselves in 14th position, followed by Robert Morris and Nick Patnella, 15th. Cody Hunley and Kennesaw State right there in 16th position. St. Clair College and Athena Leclerc find themselves in 17th. 18th is with Austin DeLong and Pennsylvania College of Technology.
Looking a little further on down the field, Blake Ellison and Everett University will finish P19. Rounding out the top 20 is Aiken Lamar and Howard Community College. Timothy Wilms and Drexel University will finish P21. Josh Metcalf for Trine University finishes P22. P23 goes to Ian McClellan and Auburn University, showing up on the scene tonight. Jonathan Fear for Florida Gulf Coast University will finish P24. Zarin Bartholomew for St. Clair College will finish P25. His teammate Tristan Leclerc, not to be confused with Athena Leclerc, for the same school, will finish P26. Ricky Paz from pole position ran into some problems and will finish P27 for Valparaiso University. And FIU's Luis Diaz will bring it home P28. Matthew Burton finishes P29 for East Tennessee State University. Keith Brubaker, 30th for Howard Community College. Blake Ruse, 31st for Trine University. Ryan Bannon, P32 for Penn College of Technology. A pair of Clemson drivers that ran into some trouble tonight, Nick Stockner and Drew Williams, bring it home 33rd and 34th. Jack Ritchie from Mississippi College finishes 35th. P36 for Michael Tognati and the College of San Mateo. Lucas Moody will finish P37 for Ball State University, and in P38, Ryan Wilson for Minnesota State Mankato. And that is going to do it for us tonight. Well, the cherry blossoms have settled here in Japan. We've turned down the Eurobeat, and another two sprint races are behind us. And Muhammad Alif and Jordan Johnson have brought fortune and honor to Ball State and Kent State universities, as well as nice points hauls, more podium finishes, and possibly a reignited title rivalry as this 13-week season is just starting to heat up. Be sure you keep up with all the Formula C action as we head back to the States next Wednesday night for our Virginia Grand Prix, live from the virtual Virginia International Raceway. The first time that we will be visiting this legendary historic track. The pre-race starts at 8:45 Eastern, and on-track action will start at 9 o'clock, only here on the CIL Twitch and YouTube channels. And if you can't wait for more CIL action, our College Cup Series heads to the Virginia-Tennessee state line. That's right, Bristol Motor Speedway. Tempers will flare, bumpers will be used, and our drivers will enter the last great Coliseum, but only one gladiator will reign supreme. We're 2 for 2 in rookie drivers visiting victory lane, and after many of our expected championship frontrunners have problems at Daytona and Auto Club, the championship is still anybody's to win. So be sure you catch that action with our new Ignition Zone pre-race show starting at 8:30 Eastern, and on-track action starts at 9 o'clock. And I believe that will do it for us tonight. So on behalf of myself, co-commentator, and tonight's producer, Josh, as well as all of us here at the Collegiate iRacing League, we'd like to personally thank you all for tuning in to tonight's Formula C Japanese Grand Prix. And until next time, stay fast.